Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Coloring Passports. I'm your host Rio, and today we're going to color the striped dolphin out of the dolphin book. Pretty excited about this one because we get to play with that water quite a bit. So I have 133 minutes left on this SD card, so we are going to get right into this. Okay, so I've grabbed the Hoo Hoo Heroes here. I've pulled a ton of the blues. There's probably some more here, like that slate blue. Which one is this? Teal. Probably not very much teal in the water in this one. We've got some different light on this water, so we're just gonna get into it here and see what we can come up with. So I'm gonna start with this navy blue right down here on the very bottom. And I'm gonna just start laying that color in, coloring on the side. We're not gonna fuss with it too much. That's gonna be lighter blue, so this is going to come back in and be the navy. Then that's the lighter blue again, and then as this comes forward with the water, you always have to switch your colors up. And it's okay if we don't color in the lines. Do not for 1 second worry about the fact that we're not coloring in the lines, because it doesn't make any difference. So there's going to be a dark edge right there for that water. Usually we start with the dolphin first, but I want to lay in some of this color so that I get the color of the dolphin right. We're just trying it new ways, see if it works better. This is only I think this is the one. This is the 4th illustration I've done in the book so far. So, pretty excited. Still not 100% certain I know what I'm doing with these guys, but I'm good with it. Gonna pull this off here. This right here. I'm gonna attempt to make this look as much like water as I can with the colored pencils. Not gonna lie, I'm still kind of a lazy painter, I like more the impression of things now instead of the photorealistic approach to things. So, but as you can see here, I am starting to color some of these spots a little bit darker, but leaving that lighter edge. That's how you get it to look realistic without putting in gazillions of hours of effort. Because what's the motto with the books? This is practice, not perfection. We're just trying to learn what we can learn so that if we translate this onto a painting, we're a little bit further down the road with it and we don't have to stress so much about the painting. This is true. This truly has helped me significantly in the things that I paint on the regular. Okay, so that's there. Then we're just gonna say that this is probably here. This water is constantly moving. It's also shifting hues. So while I have used the same one, we gotta lay that one down and pick up something else. So let's try the cerulean blue. What does this look like? Ooh. That's crazy. That's really intense. I think these little shapes should be the darker ones. I drew those on purpose, but now I don't remember why. So we're just gonna say that these are the dark ones, and the more open spaces are for the lighter colors. And then we'll sort it all out later. Remember that water's always moving. So we're not coloring straight across anything. That water is always moving. So that is the lighter part on this one. So this is darker. Wow. So that's gonna be darker. We're just roughing it in. It looks terrible. It does not look like anyone who knows what they're doing has colored this yet, but that's okay. That's totally okay. Totally okay. Okay, it's looking pretty rough, not gonna lie, looking pretty rough. I'm starting to question whether it was a good idea to do the water first. Okay, putting that one down. Grabbing the pure blue. Oh, that's pretty. That's not the right color though, is it? Well, it's kind of the right color. It's kind of the right color on this side of the blues. It's not terrible. I feel like it's got to have a little more periwinkle in it though. Uh-oh. It's hard to keep on, it's hard to color off the edge. It's hard to stay where you need to be with the edge, like it is. Okay, so I'm feeling like this light purple blue is definitely in this water. Yep, there it is. Take a break and sharpen some pencils. Okay, so this is more up here. Again, hot mess express here, but that's okay. We're gonna come back in with some other stuff over the top of this. I just want to get some of this color down because this guy is coming out of the water. He's literally completely out of the water, so I don't want to color over my edges on him, which is why I'm switching it up a little bit and doing it in a little different order. And I know that none of this is 100% right up here and down here with these colors, but we're gonna make it all work. It'll all come together at the end. You'll see. Trust the process. pure blue again. It's not really the color that I want though. I mean, it's okay. And I never met a blue I didn't like, but I want it to be a little more to the purple. Is your arm tired yet? My arm is getting tired. Take one of these high value Prismacolors and just scrub over the top of all of this. I'm using the cloud blue right now. So, very low res water situation going on here. We'll have to come in and darken all of this up. But at least I can come in and start putting some of that halo effect on the dolphin. This is a striped dolphin, and these guys have spectacular stripes on their bodies. So I'm gonna put this here. So we're gonna add a little bit of it here because he does have that reflection. And then some of this is like super, super dark here. But this is the water that's flipping up. And as that water comes up, water's not clear. So you do see color. And I'm gonna try to mimic it as best as I can with this. I don't know how it's gonna go, but I'm gonna do my best. And see that, once you go over it, oh yeah, see that does work. I'm telling you, I love using these high-valued pencils as blending sticks because it changes the color and it also gives you the effects you're looking for. That's gotta be darker. It's just gotta be darker. Okay, so we've got some streaks going on in the water. It's not perfect. We're gonna have to come back to it. So I want to get right into the dolphin. I'm going to put these pencils back here that I've been using for the water. I've got these right here. I am going to grab the slate from the Heroes. And you know the drill. I am coloring as soft as I can. Okay, so this, I'm going to color over that a little bit. So right here, this is obviously going to be darker. I'm going to have this come down. This is going to come down. This slate color is more of a purple gray, which is fine for right now. We're just trying to get some colors laid down. We'll come back in just a minute and start honing these colors. This so we can get the dolphin to look bulbous. Make the curve. This right here is where you're seeing part of the dolphin through the water. So it's really important that we get this part correct. That's dolphin. This right here inside these is all dolphin, but this is a different shade of gray, so I'm not going to put that in there. This is dolphin. This is a little bit of the dolphin color reflecting in that water. I love watching it build up. It still fascinates me that gray is this much fun to play with. Because I always struggled with it before and now I just don't. I'm going to put just a tiny amount of this in here. Because this is going to need to be more green gray because it's going to reflect from the water. So, you know, we're gonna pick up some different hues for that. Now, his entire back, for all practical purposes, besides the stripies, is pretty dark. But you can't just go in super hardcore because then you won't be able to blend your colors out. And it's the blending the colors that make it look realistic. That's where the magic happens. So I know that his rostrum here is going to be we want this part to be bulbous too. We don't want it to be flat. We want to be able to see it. And I know that there's going to be like a line underneath. So all of this is, we know for a fact that this is his back pectoral fin. So that is going to be darker. So we can go ahead. And with the hoo-hoos, you really can't, it's pretty easy to use these because they don't get crazy dark for quite a while. You have to really work at them to get them crazy dark. I just want a little bit of color on this, and I mean just barely any color on this because this color is more to the yellow gray than the purple gray. So, but I do want it a little bit darker than what I'm going to be able to get it with the yellow gray. Now, there's also a darker part right here. And obviously the blowhole is, so there's going to be a highlight there. This is going to be darker. This is going to be like a shadowy piece. I want this part to be a little more bulbous, so I'm going to color in C patterns here all the way up. Just going to be super, super cautious here about how dark we get with this purple. Because all I'm doing right now is just blocking in where my shadows are so I know. a little rough there. Okay, where are we at? Okay, see, he's starting to come together. So we're starting to take the focus off of how bad the water looks. Loving that. Okay, so that was the slate in the hoo-hoo. All right, let's get into this. So 50% warm gray. I'm gonna put some of it on his rostrum. Is that what it's called? Yes, rostrum. Okay, just making sure. I paint fish a whole lot. This is the first time I've ever done anything with dolphins, so I'm learning just as much as you guys are about them. They're fascinating. Just gonna keep softly coming around here. Okay, up at the top, very hard for me to do this angle and not move the page, but Chase does not want me to move the page, so we're gonna just try to come in this way. A little bit of color coming up here, just a touch, and we want to highlight right there. That's maybe a little high. Maybe we want to highlight right there. Just keep that one right there. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to go all the way up, just some lines. I'm going to come out here and lay in some of this color, and I'm using the same one, but you can see I'm barely touching this. You know I'm gonna go in and use a bunch more colors, so I'm just laying in the basics here. That's all I'm doing, is laying in the basics. Okay, starting to come together. Still looks cartoony, but we're gonna switch colors and we're gonna fix that. We're gonna come up here with the 70% cool gray. So every place that I know is super dark, and this right here is going to be super dark, I'm just going to add a little more color. And see, it's starting to come together. However, it's got to have some more color in it. Okay. Okay, we're gonna come back here and add some of this back here. I see the blue in that. Do you see the blue in that? Okay, so I'm feeling like we've got all this white showing through and it's kind of a distraction for me. So let's grab some 10% cool gray, 30% cool gray, and a little bit of the grayed lavender. And we're gonna start just putting some color in here. I'm also probably going to grab the French gray, because that's a little, it's more yellow. It's got more yellow in it. Cool gray's got more blue. French gray's got more yellow. So let's get started with it right here. Oh yeah, that's lovely. As you'll know, this is the first time I have done a striped dolphin. So any anxiety you feel about doing this, I feel it too. Come in here and add some of this here. I want to be really careful around the eye. I'm going to switch to 30% cool gray. Come right in here. Set that down in there. And then this is a lot darker. And we're not going for hyperrealism here. We're just going for the idea of it all done. A little bit of the cool gray up here on the stripe. Kind of just gonna blend out some of this here. And right now, all of this is pretty, it's got that rough colored pencil feel to it. It's got that scratch to it. So we're gonna come up here and just start making circles. I'm gonna put my arm here to hold the page down. We're gonna come up here with this cool gray. This is the 30%. We're just gonna start making teeny tiny little baby circles here. And this obviously is not the last color we're gonna put on this sweet baby dolphin's back, but it's gonna get us started in the right direction. Oh, this is pretty light back here. So we gotta start adding, we gotta get brave and we gotta start adding some more color to this dorsal fin here. And we've got to start adding some more color to the back side of him here. We're just coloring over all the colors we've already laid down. See, this up here is blended pretty well. We're gonna come in with some darker colors in a minute. I want to get rid of all of the illusion of this white here. Still gonna read like white, but we got to get rid of the actual white paper because it's not working. I'm going to come back in here and darken up some of these areas too, because this sweet baby dolphin's color is going to show through this water here. Okay, he's got a little bit of color here. I'm going to darken that up just a little bit. And just a little bit darker right on the edge of that stripe. Just a little bit darker there. I'm going to go a little bit darker right here. A little bit darker on his back. And again, y'all, I am no expert with colored pencils, okay? So I may not be doing this at all correctly. I feel like that pectoral fin definitely needs to be darker than it is. So let's get in there with some of that. That's the 10% French gray. Let's get it a little bit darker here. Let's find the, that's a 30% French gray. Oh, yep, that's darker. A little bit darker value. Still has kind of that peachy pink hue to it, so we like that. That's working. Want some of that over here on this side of his face a little bit. That's starting to make that look realistic. We want some of that back here on his back too. Oh, look how nice he's starting to look. That'll work. All right. I can live with that. Still not where I want it to be, but we're getting closer. So let's add a little bit of this lavender back here. While we blend all this out. Let's add some of this lavender in back here. And I feel like there's some lavender right in here on this part of the stripe too. That's all working. Now let's grab, this is the 80% French gray. Let's see what this does. I'm gonna put some of this in its stripe. Oh, I'm gonna put a little bit of that right back there. A little bit of it around his eye. Blend that out just a touch. We'll come back over that with some of the other color. I'm not a super fan of this color. But it is adding some more dimension to our dolphin here. So I do like that aspect of it. You'll have to forgive the airplane noises. Where the condo in Manhattan, Marathon is super close to the airport. And they take everybody on that has their pilot's licenses or that's trying to get their pilot's license. They're flying those old-fashioned open cockpit planes, and they buzz the house. It's kind of cool. It's time to commit here. It's time to commit to some of these colors. So this is the sepia. Let's see what it looks like up here. Gonna just color right over the top of all of these. If you don't have sepia, use some sort of a reddish brown. I'm gonna come in and add some of this color back here on his dorsal fin. I'm gonna put this one down. Now I'm gonna grab my 70%. Ooh, look at that color. My goodness, y'all. I'm gonna color right over the top of this. See, you put your light colors down first, and these colored pencils are all super transparent, so it's gonna show through, but it's still gonna look like a highlight. This is a very yummy purple gray. That's what this is. This is a purple gray. This is the warm gray, so it's got reds. It's got some red in it. Probably started with a blue base. They put the red in it, got the purple. A little bit more shadow here on that stripe. We know that stripe is there. We know it's there. A little bit harder around the stripey right here. This area is a little bit more highlighted, so we're gonna go over it, but not a ton, and then we're gonna go back over it with some other lighter colors. You just gotta keep working it. You gotta keep working it all. So that I'm feeling like this is gonna have a little bit of a, right there, underneath that highlight, there's a little bit more of a shadow. There's definitely some more of it right in here. Pectoral fin, definitely darker. go. Blowhole engaged. Add a little bit of shadow up here. We know that there's some highlights going on up here, but there's still gonna be a little bit of color coming off of that area there. Let's come down here. Definitely gonna be darker right here. Definitely darker right there where that pectoral fin touches the body. Gonna have some shadows coming right through this too. So I'm coloring in teeny tiny little baby circles right here. Come in here and color this dorsal fin a little bit heavier. And we've got all these other colors in there, so they're all just gonna mix real nicely. And get it super dark at the back with this gray. Well, I'm liking it. I'm gonna put that one down for just a minute. Now I'm gonna grab this 10% cool gray again, and I'm gonna come right over the top of this. Haha, look at that, it worked. Got rid of all the scratchy lines. Now the only issue is that I'm not sure how many more layers I can add after I go pretty solid with this. Not sure what's left in the archive, or the arsenal, I should say, with blendability after I get really crazy and really push down on all of this. I'm gonna get his eye done here. I'm gonna come in here and get his pectoral fin blended in. Let's blend all this in. Wow. Okay, that's not terrible. Now, is it the best one I've ever done? No, it isn't. But, you know, it's like only the third or fourth one I've ever done. So I'm saying that I've got a lot to learn. Let's see here. Gotta come in here with some of this darker gray. This is the 90% cool gray. It's gonna be one of the darkest grays that you can get your hands on in your box. I'm gonna come in here and start to darken up around his eye a little bit, because he's really dark in here. Well, I'll hand it to Prismacolor. It's still accepting shadows, which is kind of a big deal. Because I have really worked this color. Darken up this area right here a little more. We're gonna blend that out with some more color here in just a minute. I do want to come up here on that dorsal fin and add just a touch more color up here on the dorsal fin if we can. Randomly though, I don't want to trying to avoid making him look like a cartoon as much as possible. And I'm going to come in here in this area right here. I know is really shadowed, but I don't want to just come in and color the whole thing because that will take away from what we've done. So I'm just going to lay in some, going to just push a little bit harder in some areas. Just going to lay some pigment down. Just coming in and darkening some of these areas up that I know are going to lend themselves to being a little darker. I'm going to add just a touch of some of this dark over here on the side of him here. Well, that's starting to look really pretty good. Gonna come up here on his back a little bit. Add just a touch. There's another little shadowy area right there. Just a touch. Okay. Oh, I lost a pencil. All the way underneath there. Okay. So we've got that. I'm gonna come back in with a little bit of this 30% cool gray. Kind of go right over the top of that again. Blend some of those lines out. I'm just kind of darkening up some of these areas here just a bit, just kind of blending it out where we know those shadows are. Not a big deal. A little bit of shadow there, a little bit of shadow there. Okay. So maybe we decide that this is pretty good for the dolphin for a while, and let's focus on the water for a minute. Now this water, your natural instinct is always think that the splash is white. Well, the splash is not white. So then we have to figure out how are we going to reverse engineer this water so that it kind of looks real and kind of does what we want it to do. So let's figure that out. Gonna grab a darker blue. At this point, really any blue will be okay. My pencils are a little mixed up. Oh, there's a cerulean from the Hoo Hoo Hero collection. Let's see what that looks like. Well, that works right on top of that. I'm just coming in and making some patterns because we're gonna cheat this. And the way we're gonna cheat this is that we're gonna finish with some gouache. So if you have some acrylic paint, that'll work. If you have watercolor, that'll work. If you have gouache, which is just opaque watercolor, that'll be fantastic. I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around spending hours and hours and hours on this water when I think I'd rather do that with paint. I'm gonna come in and start laying in some darker color back here. And this is always challenging with the blues because I find the blues and the watercolors to be incredibly intense, which means that these colors are coming way forward in the picture. This is ultramarine and ooh, that's really wild. So and I'm not very good at the water yet. I'm gonna get good at it with the colored pencils, but I'm not real good at it yet. So we're just gonna cheat it. Just gonna cheat it a little. And see, I don't even like using the same color on both sides of the paper because that messes up the perception of distance. So I'm gonna just have a little bit of this here. And this is looking like a hot mess right here, right now. But it's gonna get better, I promise. Just hang tight. So this is the violet blue. I don't know, that's a little more too purple a little more purpley than what I was going for there. Okay, so then this must be this is the cerulean from Hoo Hoo Hero. This is denim blue. I don't know. I'm telling y'all right now that I'm going to grow weary of all of this very quickly and just want to break out a brush and put some splatters in there with some gouache and call it good. Because this is kind of a lot. So I'm taking that cloud blue, sky blue light, which I'm going to have to order another one of because I've just about used the whole pencil and it's such a great blending tool for me that I can't be without it. I just cannot be without it. And this isn't even really the right color back here. I just need color on this. See that? I just need some color on it. Gonna blend all this out. It's such a beautiful color to blend though. Wow, I just really thoroughly enjoy this color. And again, I am sure that there are hyper photorealistic colored pencil artists out there that can just make this water sing and dance. I'm not going for that. I'm entirely too lazy for that. I'm gonna have to watch a couple of YouTube channels to understand how that works. Anybody know who actually teaches how to paint the water with colored pencils? Because I'm not even kidding about that. I'm gonna have to watch some YouTube channels to kind of get an idea of how this works with the colored pencils. Because it's not the same as what I would do with the paint. Okay, so that was some jade green just to kind of tone it down a little bit. So let's get the gouache out because I'm ready to make some highlights here. I want to start adding the little highlights here. Whoa, what is happening here? Okay, changed my mind. We're gonna come back to, we're gonna circle back around to that. Do I want to outline this in white? Sometimes I like that. Gives it a little more of a graphic illustration feel to it. And sometimes it's really nice. And I like these Posca pens, but the colored pencils that I'm using blend with the Posca. Okay, that's not really working how I want it to, although it is sort of setting it up. Let me grab the gouache. Okay, so I'm gonna dip right into my gouache, which is a rule-breaking, monumental rule-breaking event right here, because I never use paint straight out of the tube. But because there's already watercolor or water pencil down, it doesn't matter. So, and my brush is super wet, so see what it's doing? It's just barely attaching itself to the page. So we're getting all of those glorious streaky bits. There's so much more freedom with the paintbrush for me. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I really thoroughly enjoy the freedom in just being able to pick up a brush and throw on some color. Now, let's see what we can do here. Let's make some little, I'm not a fan of this brush, but I don't know where my other brush is at the current time because we've been moving around, and so I'm gonna have to locate it. So I'm gonna make do, which is, you know, probably a good lesson for you as well. Adapt and overcome. So there's that. Got some of that blue in there. In fact, I think I'm gonna swish some of that over the actual dolphin. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. That's gonna kind of, and then down here, he definitely is gonna have some of that blue picking up and back on the back of his fin there and underneath there for sure. That water's gonna reflect. Look how nice that looks. Okay, I'm digging that. I like that a lot. I can live with that. It's very good. It's not great, but I can live with it. So whatever. Gonna come in here with some of this white gouache. This is the Arteza gouache colors, and this is the straight up white. So right over here, I know that this water is doing something like this. And I'm not going for exact because it's gonna make me crazy, and this is paper. Where this is like a journal entry. It's for practice. We're not gonna get wrapped around the axle about any of this. We're just gonna make some streakies in here. That really should stay blue. This right here really becomes a little more pigmented and white. Right in there. See how we just kind of attached all that? Then I know we've got some white splashes back here on this photo. And I wanted to do those last because I wanted some of that dirty brush on there so that it's behind the dolphin. Let's see, there's a line, there's a streak there. That streaks. This white, I think, is probably the equivalent of the zinc white because it's really transparent. There's another white in here, and I think it's called titanium white. So it's got more titanium in it if they really used that in the gouache. I don't know, not an expert. So it's going to be more opaque. This is transparent, and it works for the water because you still want to be able to see all of that water that's churning up underneath there, and then randomly just pop in some splashies that are above it all. And again, practice. It's just for practice. And I think every time I do some of this, I improve a little or I learn something, but the water's hard. Doing water with these colored pencils is hard. And these colors, this should be a lot darker back here. It's not even really correct. Gonna use my finger to get some splashes back here. But see, now it looks like he's coming up out of that water. So maybe I'll grab Well, I can assure you that that was really not the color that I wanted. That's way too intense. Ugh. But we're gonna commit, we're gonna make it work. It's okay. Not 100% what I wanted, but it's better than it was. And see, to counter that, we'll add a little bit of that up in here. There we go.
I think it's really important that you guys see me just do this. Unedited, without practice, on each one of these pages, just like you. I mean, I'm literally throwing myself to the wolves too here. I have never painted this scene before. This is the first time. So, there it is. So I blurred out the water a little bit because I wanted to focus on the dolphin. I'm gonna add a little here and there. Some of this cerulean is on my brush still. I'm gonna just add little bits of it to the dolphin's body because that'll just sort of bring him in a little more into the image. That's not terrible. Not for colored pencil. I think it's pretty good. So now let me see if I can work some magic with the paint pen here. I'm gonna come in, and I feel like there's gonna be a little bit of a paint splatter right there. Maybe some right in here. Maybe some paint splatters here. Maybe some paint splatter right here. Heck, maybe there's some paint splatters here. I know there's some paint splatters. There's some highlighty waters coming up back here. I know this is definitely a highlight mark right here on his sweet little face. Y'all, the more I do stuff about these dolphins, the more I fall in love with them. I just think they're so amazing. And before this book, I thought they were cool, but I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to their life. Oh yeah, look at that. So if you come in, these paint pens, these oil-based paint pens, they stink a bit, but they do give you the luxury of adding some detail that you might not be able to do elsewhere. So then I wondered, would it be cool if we outlined him a certain degree? And this might ruin the whole thing, I don't know, but I'm gonna try it. Because sometimes I just like the outline on that graphic illustration. Now you don't have to do this to yours. Completely up to you. But it sort of cleans up the lines for me. Because I don't fuss about coloring inside the lines. And part of that is because I know I can come in with this outliner and just clean my lines up a little bit. Now it does alter the look of the illustration, but I don't care. If I don't like it, I just won't do it on the next one. It's one of those things that once you start it, you're pretty much committed. Gonna add some more water to him in some of these places where the water might be kind of splashing a little bit still. Just gonna kind of come in and make some sweet little splashies there, and then there's my horizontal lines, you know, my lateral lines that I'm famous for. The water's curling over right there. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more color, and then it's got a little bit more color right there too on the top. So a lot of times when it's not quite right, it's just because you just haven't finished all the steps. See, I put that down and then I just blend it right back out with my finger. All right. I'm looking at it through the screen viewer on the camera, and I'm looking at it in person. And I think we just call this good, because I'm not sure that I want to do anything else to this. I like it. I like what it looks like. I learned a lot about the colors on this dolphin, and when I paint it for reals, that's going to help significantly. So let's get in here and let's just get it signed. I just broke that pencil. Good Lord. Love, Rio. All right, y'all, that's it for the striped dolphin. I'm Rio, this has been Coloring Passports, and I'll catch you on the next page.